All right, guys, welcome back. We're in live stream. Sorry, I've been taking off a little bit of time, but we're back. UFC Vegas 62. We're talking Alexa Grasso versus Viviane Araujo. First, let's say thank you to our sponsor, Tampa Bless. Home team do good. TampaBless.com for more information about that, gentlemen and ladies. All right, let's get right into it. Let's break it down. Alexa Grasso, ranked number 5. She's 14-3. She's 29 years old, super young. Minus 225 favorite. 3-fight winning streak, beating Joanne Wood and Macy Barber. Just want to throw in, she is unbeaten since moving up in weight to the flyweights. She's going up against Viviane Araujo, ranked number 6, 11-3, 35 years old, plus 190 underdog. And she looked good in her last fight. She beat Andrea Lee, who's a tough competitor. But before that, she lost to Caitlin Chukagian. This looks to be pretty good on paper. Tom, how do you see it? I see it one way. Let's hear from you first, though.
All right. Grasso 29, Vivian 35. That's a significant age difference in this group here. Grasso, the Mexican, Vivian, the Brazilian. Grasso never been finished by strikes. This is a tough call. Vivian coming off that win against a really game Andrea Lee. I think either way, I'm seeing a decision here, regardless of who wins in my mind. Both fighters have never gone past 3 rounds in their career, so this is going to be their first potential 4 or 5 round fight. That may come into play too. The championship rounds may be a factor here. Youth is on Grasso's side, but you know what, man? I'm going with the older woman here, and she's not old in my mind. 35, you're still youthful, but in this game, it's very picky about your age sometimes, even though we're seeing a lot of people break barriers. I'm going with Vivian here by decision, man, over Grasso.
Vivian, decision. I do not see it that way. I can tell you that right now. Araujo, yeah, she looked strong for 35 in her last fight, but since moving up, I got to say, Grasso has just looked very impressive since moving up. She always looked very small. She still looks small, but she seems to really have the strength down. The weight cuts must have been killing her a little bit because now she just looks physically strong. I mean, wins over Barber, and she was going for the choke against Barber. Go back and watch that. She looks good. She shows she's got a solid ground game. We know she has phenomenal boxing, and she looks to finish fights. I think this is going to be Grasso all day. I think it's her all day on volume. I think potentially she might not be physically stronger, but she could be. That's the thing. Since moving up, she really looks healthy. She looks good. Even though she always kind of looks small out there, she looks just as strong. She doesn't look like she's getting bullied around or anything. Like I said, also a big factor here is we've never seen Grasso gas. She always looks like she's got cardio for days. 29 years old. Female division, she probably does have cardio for days. We're going to see it here. I think Araujo, though, looks to tire out in a lot of the third rounds when you watch her. I think Andrea Lee could have got her another round. I think a few of her prior fights, if you go back and watch, she tires out a little bit in that third round. She puts it all out there, and she puts it all out there early. And I think Grasso might be able to take over here in the championship rounds. I'm actually leaning that Grasso gets a finish in the 5th round after she tires out Araujo. Go back and look, though. Grasso undefeated at this weight class. It's just weird. She looks so small, but she really looks good. I can't say anything bad. Now, as far as the card market goes, I like Grasso, but I don't know if she can gain enough attention to be a buy. She's so cheap. She's printed in one of the best sets of all time, 2017 Chrome. I got to put a hold on her this time, and it's simply because the same reason why I put a hold on a lot of these females. Valentina needs to retire and make room for these other girls so they can show up and get some wins as a champion. But as it looks, I don't think we see that happening. So, Araujo, 35. She's a sell at this point for me. She's printed in 2020. She garners very little attention in the card market. I don't see that changing. I'd love to see Grasso change it, though, and put a buy rating on her. All right, moving right on. We got bantamweights. We got an old-timer, but he's still swinging that heavy leather. Cub Swanson, 38 years old. He's 28-12, plus 175, underdog here. and he last beat Darren Elkins. And not many people finished Darren Elkins, and Swanson finished him in that last fight. And before round one, and before that, he lost to Giga Chiazzi. He's going up against Jonathan Martinez, who's 16-4, 28 years old, minus 205 favor here. He's on a 3-fight winning streak, beating Vince Morales and Alejandro Perez last. Tom, I mean, Swanson's been around forever for all the newcomers. The guy is still swinging those heavy leather hands. Can he do enough to get Martinez out early?
I mean, Cub could win.
Of course,
I mean, that's definitely a possibility. It's definitely a possibility here. You know, Cub 10 years older than Jonathan Martinez. He's 38. Jonathan's 28. Cub's coming off that, like Mark just said, that round one finish of a game Darren Elkins. You know, I'm going to say Cub might be the toughest opponent Jonathan Martinez has had up to this point. He's had some good ones, but I think Cub might be actually the toughest one he's faced yet. So this is going to be kind of like a benchmark for him. And then from there, I think you're going to see him start. If he wins, you're going to start to see him get into that more kind of upper echelon of fights and get those matchmaking with the upper echelon, potentially top 10 fighters. You know, I'm leaning here with Jonathan. I think Jonathan's kind of Cub's still game. He's still could potentially beat Jonathan here, but I don't think Cub is still really progressing. I think Jonathan is still progressing. We haven't seen Jonathan reach his plateau yet. Like, he's still going up, and he's, you know, gaining momentum here. He's what is he, like three wins in a row or something? I got to go with Jonathan here by decision. I don't know if he's going to finish Cub. Cub's not an easy finish. Giga got him with like a liver shot something.
But Giga's also very high ranked, very high level.
I know, but you catch somebody with the right liver shot, and you know pretty much most anybody could potentially
the Giga kick,
be
boys
laying
and
down
girls.
from that.
The Giga kick right there. We all know it. Listen, I can't argue with you.
Yeah, so I go with decision by Jonathan.
I mean, I like Martinez here, but here's the big factor here. I worry that both men are cutting down to bantamweight. Tom didn't mention that. These guys are featherweights. They're coming down. I believe this might be Cub Swanson's first ever fight at a bantamweight. How's he going to do with that weight cut? Jonathan Martinez is getting a little older. How's he going to do with a weight cut down to bantamweight? We don't know. This is one of those ones you really have to go and watch the weigh-ins if you want to dabble on it, because this is a tough one. We don't know. Martinez already struggles making weight. Now he's going down again. I worry about that one. I also worry a little. Martinez is a little chinny, and he's going down in weight. We know when a lot of guys go down in weight, they lose their chin even more. So that's not a good look. I also worry Cub is getting older, and he is. He's about to be 39. But I just got to go with, I think Martinez gets it done here. I think he weathers a small storm from Cub Swanson, and then I don't think Swanson's going to be able to turn it on round 2 and round 3. I think Martinez just has to survive round 1, get him up against the cage, tire him out, and if you do it. If he doesn't do that, it might be lights out for Martinez, though. Cub could easily finish this one round 1, I feel like. But I'm taking Martinez to get it done. I'm with you. I think it probably goes to decision here, and he just tires out Cub at almost 39 years old. Now, card market goes here. Cub is a legend. He goes all the way back to 2013. I just can't put that buy rating on him. You can play the long game with him, but in the near future, there's nothing to really catapult him to that next level. He'd have to go on a huge win streak in at 39 at bantamweight. That is extremely tough, with the bantamweight maybe being the deepest division in the UFC at this very moment. There's a lot of talent at bantamweight decision. That first 6, 7, 8 guys is just all killers. Martinez, talented. I got to put a sell on him also. I think he's just been not as good as advertised. I think he needs to start beating some big names, beating these guys like Cub Swanson, and not just laying on them and getting a W, but going out there and showing you can finish these guys and not get knocked to the ground every time you do it. I could easily see, if I'm wrong, though, being a little late on my call with Martinez, but I got to sell on him until he can really go out and knock some guys out. All right, moving right on. This could be fight of the night right here. I actually prefer this as the main event over the females here. We got flyweights. Askar Askarov. This guy is a stud. I'm not sure how he didn't make the main event, but it's not up to me. He's ranked number 4. He's a minus 255 favorite. He's 30 years old. He's 14-1-1. And his last fight was that loss to Kaikar France. That fight was extremely close. If you want to go back, and I think a lot of people had him winning. He had a lot of time where he's on the back, a lot. It was very, very close, but Kaikar got the nod. But before that, he beat Joe Benavidez. He beat Alex Pantoja. He beat Tim Elliott. This kid is talented since getting into the UFC. He's been going up against killers, and he's been winning. But he's going up against Brandon Royval, who's ranked number 5, plus 215 underdog, 30 years old, 14-6 record, 2-fight winning streak himself, beating Matt Schnell and Rogerio Bontorin. Tom, what do you see happening here?
Yeah, this definitely should be the main event. I don't think there's really much of an argument there from my the way that I see things. These two guys are both title contenders. Like, after whoever wins this fight could potentially get it. In my mind, the winner of this fight should be behind Alexander Pantoja in line for a title shot. I thought Pantoja should have got the title shot instead of having this 4th round of Moreno versus Figgy.
Yeah, I agree,
right?
100%.
But it is what it is. And don't forget that Askar had a draw with Moreno.
I believe that was his first UFC fight too. I got to double check, but that was early on too.
I also wanted to make potentially a quick correction, because you said Cub from 2013, because I just looked it up and I thought he was a little longer. He was in the UFC since 2011.
Oh, his card. Oh, his card.
Okay,
Card.
Yeah. So Cub in the UFC, though, 2011, there's guys who have been in earlier than that, but that's definitely vet status if you're in over a decade in the UFC.
Oh, absolutely.
To last in the league that long, man. But, look, I thought Askar beat Kai, number 1. If you look at Brandon Royval, his sub game is so strong. He subbed Kaikar France, Matt Schnell, and Tim Elliott. Those dudes are not easy subs. He subbed all 3 of those guys. So what I think is, if Askar can avoid the sub, I'm going with him by decision. It could be fight of the night right here. That's my pick, though. I'm going Askar by decision, but the big factor is, can you avoid being subbed?
Right. He's got crazy. Here's the thing, though. I'm with you on that. I'm leaning Askarov here based on 2 things. First thing, dude is super durable. He's never been finished, period. Mm-hmm.
But he never lost until last fight.
Right. So no, I get it, but he just never been finished. So you're in there with guys throwing bombs on you, and you've eaten them all, and you keep walking these guys down. The guy's got a crazy chin, a crazy work ethic, and here's the other thing. He's got crazy takedowns, and I think Royval suffers a little from getting taken down, and he likes to play off his back, because you mentioned he's got such high-level jiu-jitsu down there. He likes to sub guys. He's comfortable on his back. But I think Askarov has such a strong top game, it's not a good move to make. I don't think he just gets caught in a triangle or gets caught in some kind of arm bar. The guy's too good himself in his own right to just catch him.
Askar's got the decorated wrestling background.
So I think, that being said, I think the fight probably gets to the ground. I think Royval's crafty, but can he slip in a spinning elbow before they go to the ground or something like that and catch Askar? As I mentioned, I think even if he does, unless he literally finishes right there, I think this kid is so durable. I don't think you finish him. I think Askar's just a little bit better in each position. I think he should get the edges from the judges here. I agree. Askarov gets the decision. Just better all around, and his takedowns are phenomenal. He's like Merab Dashvili. He just keeps coming forward, just keeps going for that takedown, just keeps working and working and working. I'm with you. I'd have to go back and really watch him versus Kaikar France. I did a little tape study, not a ton, but it was so close. I think Askar probably did have the decision, but I wasn't mad. It could have went either way. It was so close. The kid is so talented.
Another factor, we haven't seen yet. is how Askar will bounce back after his first ever loss, which was kind of controversial. Did that mess with his head? We'll see.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, well, he had the draw, so I know it's not a loss, but that's still. We saw how he bounced back. He won, and he won again, and he won again. So I got both men here printed in 2021 Prism. Both men are worthy of a speculation buy, in my opinion. Can they go up? Can they beat Moreno? Can they go up? Can they beat Figueiredo? Is my only question, and it's the question you should ask yourself before you invest in these guys. Do you think Askar or Royval goes up and beats Moreno or beats Figgy, whoever retains the belt after their fourth fight? And I'm just going to say it. I like Moreno. I'm not the biggest Moreno fan, but Moreno is getting better every time you see him. Like, this kid is already good. He's already talented, and he is getting better. I'm just throwing that out there. I think Figueiredo was dominant. I think he is a pretty dominant dude. Got the power and everything, but can you go up and beat one of those guys? That's the only question you ask yourself before you put a
You
little
got to throw
buy on him.
Pantoja in that mix too, because he could take the belt. I think he's in line for the shot before the winner of this fight.
He should be in line. They just don't seem to give it to him.
I know, and if they do end up giving it to him, regardless of who wins, Brandon or Figgy, they're gonna end up having to potentially win or lose against Pantoja if they give him the fight. Right. So Pantoja could actually be the belt holder.
I'm all in it. I like Pantoja a lot, so let's get it. Let's get into the middleweights, though. Skipping right down the card. These guys are young. Can these guys move up? We got Nick Maximo, 24 years old, 8-1, minus 125 favorite here. And his last fight was that loss to Andre Petrosky. That was a quick one. That was a first-round choke right there. But before that, he beat Punahele Soriano, Cody Brundage. And then we get to Jacob Malkoun, plus 105. He's 27 years old. He's 6-2, and he last lost to Brendan Allen. But before that, beat A.J. Dobson and beat Abdul Razak Al Hassan, who is one of my favorite guys, even though he gets chumped out there a lot. I like his style. Now, both these guys are a big name because they roll with the right people. We got Maximo. People love to affiliate him with the Diaz brothers. We got Malkoun. He goes down with the Australian boys, Robert Whittaker and stuff like that. Are these guys good enough to be in their own name? Let's see how they do. Let's see how this one looks. That's the big question. Tom, though, who do you got winning this one?
Man, this is a tough call. I mean, both these guys are super young, too. Nick's 24, Jacob's 27. Jacob looks older than 27, but he's only 27. But the crazy thing, these guys aren't even the youngest. The next guy we'll cover is 22. But Nick's 24. He's got a 3-inch reach advantage. I think I got a little bit gun shy after last fight. That kind of was a little, I don't know if it was just a bad day for Nick or it was indicative of potentially really needing to show some more progress to get with some of these higher end fighters. Jacob, I think the danger here is don't let Jacob get on top of you. Even though Nick is a BJJ guy, he rolls with the Diaz camp, he's used to grappling. But if Jacob gets on top of him on the ground, I think that's a problem. If he can avoid that, I got to roll with Nick here, man. I got to roll with Nick on another try. Diaz brothers, Diaz camp, Nick Diaz Army, really.
Yeah,
by decision.
Okay.
By decision.
This might be the toughest fight to call. It's heavy grappler versus heavy grappler. I don't love either one in this position right here. Both are strong. Both seem pretty talented at what they do. But who is better on the feet? We know all fights start on the feet. Each round starts on the feet. Which one of these guys is going to throw together some punches? We haven't seen Maximo throw any punches on his feet. He looks like a fish out of water on the feet. He's got to get it to the ground. Luckily for him, Malkoun probably wants to go to the ground. But who's going to get top position then? We don't know. We know what happens when you see grappler versus grappler. A lot of times they don't go to the ground because they negate those skills. So this is very tough. I'm leaning underdog here. I'm leaning Jacob Malkoun potentially being a little bit better on the feet, a little bit more willing to engage on the feet. I believe if he can get in top position, he's going to be a little bit stronger. I think that age difference, even though it's only 3 years, these are the maturing years for these guys. These are where these guys get really strong and really talented. I'm leaning Malkoon. He rolls with the wrestling camp. He rolls with some high level guys down there, down under. I'm taking the underdog in this one. I'm going
Down under,
Malkoon.
I'm taking the under.
Yeah. Now, as far as the card market goes, I'm not going to waste any time. We'll reevaluate these guys later on, as they're super down right now, and there's no need to rush into anything. They're not even printed yet. But let's move on. The last fight we're coming. We got the flyweights. We got Tatsuro Taira, 22 years old, 11-0 prodigy coming in here, boys. Minus 245 favorite. His debut, he beat Carlos Candelario. He's going up against CJ Vergara, age 31, 10-3-1, plus 205 underdog here. And he last beat Clayton Rodriguez, and he lost to Ode Osborne before that. Tom, undefeated versus a little more experience. 22 versus 31. What do you got?
Man, shout out to Okinawa, Japan. Tatsuro Taira. When I was in the Navy, I spent 2 months in Okinawa twice. So 4 months in Okinawa, man. And the funny thing about that is I immediately thought of the Karate Kid and Mr. Miyagi. And I was out at this bar, and they called like the main dude there. They referred to him as Miyagi. And I was like, yo, what the heck? That's real? And yeah, man, it's actually somewhat accurate. You know, it's kind of crazy. But anyways, CJ here is very game. I could easily see CJ kind of startling Tatsuro here and kind of putting a loss on his record. Just running up against someone you haven't met that type of caliber fighter yet. I mean, CJ's been around for a minute. He lost a split decision earlier, like 7 years back or so, against Jonathan Martinez, who's on this card. You know, this guy's been around for a minute. He's tough. He's ready for war. So my thing is, he's got a lot of strike finishes on his record, CJ. And now Tatsuro has 8 out of 11 of his fights, of his wins, because he is undefeated, 11-0. 8 out of 11 of them are finishes. You know, predominantly subs, but he has some strike. You're right. He does have some strikes. So it's like you got the striker finisher versus the sub finisher, guys that like to go for that. But they both could end up in decisions now that they're at the UFC level. But before that, they kind of had that type of resume. I'm thinking here, if Tatsuro can get it to the ground, I think he can win. And I'm going to go with him. And like I said, I could easily see CJ putting it to him on the feet. And, you know, either just racking up points, hitting them, and just wearing them out, or potentially finishing them by striking. But my pick, I'm going with Tatsuro, round 1 sub.
All right, I like that. Yeah, I'm in line with that.
Or a decision. But my first pick is a round 1 sub.
I'm with it. Let's stay with the undefeated kid. I think Taira is just a better fighter. I think he's got better grappling skills, good submissions. I think Vergara, he just doesn't have the goods. I mean, of course, you can catch someone with a flying knee. I mean, I get that. That's what happened. That's how he got in the UFC. But I think Vergara is going to give up his back at one point, maybe try to get up. This kid's going to take him down. And I think that's it. I agree with you. He gets the rear naked choke or some kind of great submission. I think Tatsuro is just more talented. He's got the youth on his side. That undefeated record sometimes brings the right confidence level that you need going into the cage. And I think he's got it. I think this kid is talented. I think he's the real deal. And I think versus any of these lower level guys, I think he can clean it up. I think he can get it done here. And I'm not trying to say Vergara is low level, but he's not ranked. This is a perfect fight for Tatsuro to showcase himself here. And I think he does. I think he does it again. I think he gets the win. I'm 100% on board with a submission victory here. I don't know about first round, but let's go for it. Guys are young. These guys are not going to run out of steam until the fight's over. All right, but card market goes. I'm going to be watching Tatsuro very closely. I'm going to see how he looks in this one, and we'll see when he's printed if we need to get a buy rating on him. All right, guys, that's it.
Quick I just wanted to say, I was thinking about the fights and the weigh-ins before we jumped on live. And just as a funny side note, you know, some of these guys are weighing in at, 125. And 2 guys weighing in at 125 on weigh-in day do not equal what I currently weigh.
They're what I weigh. That's
crazy.
what I weigh. Yeah, I get it.
It's just crazy.
All
It's just crazy to think, man, because you forget. You watch on TV, man, and you forget like how small these dudes are.
Oh, some of them are tiny.
Yeah,
tiny. All right,
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen.
they're like little Wolverines.
Little tidbit about the size of us.